Hi, I'm Aaron from Complyify, and this is an overview of the Complyify application. The left navigation enables you to directly access different views of the app. The topmost portion can collapse it. This is the dashboard. It's an overview of your compliance. The CSQ score is an indication of your company's current cybersecurity posture, and the risks give you an ability to make the biggest changes with the smallest amount of work. The top things would be items that you can do that would move the score the most, and the top things in mitigated risks are the answers that have been given that have benefited your risk score the most. You can click on any related controls and see what the standards require when it comes to that piece of data. Domain grades break down these risks and show for each of these 4 different domains the top risks that can be addressed to benefit that portion of the business. At the bottom of the dashboard, you'll see a history of what your CSQ score has been over time up to the last year. We will now navigate to the task view and work a task which would improve that CSQ score. In this task view, we can go to any given task and begin working on it, or we can filter to be able to find specific kinds of tasks. You can choose specific categories to filter by. In this case, let's look at unassigned tasks to mitigate and make sure someone's working each of these. We can click the unassigned avatar and choose either a user or a team to assign the task to. We'll reset the filter and look at tasks just assigned to me. When I choose my name, I have a list of all the tasks that I've been assigned. I can filter them more by just looking at specific tags or the status, or I can just begin working on them. Each task is a collection of questions. They vary in length from one question to many. You can answer each question. Some questions will have this more detail link, which if you click it will give context usually written directly from a standard. Once you've answered all the questions in a task, you'll see a draft assessment. In this case, it shows one of the questions would fail with one of the standards required. You can click on that box to see more detail about the standard and what it requires, and you can make a change. You could assign this out to maybe another user who would know more information about it, or you can change it directly. But remember, don't just change the answer. Make sure that your environment matches the answer given so that you remain in compliance. In this case, we're going to invite other people to review. I'm going to invite Peter and Samir to look at these answers and make sure they reflect our environment. You can see invited reviewers at the top right of the screen. You could click on it and edit them and add other people if you wanted. And when you open the more detail box for each question, you can see how people have reviewed the answers, whether they've approved or rejected them. At this point, I'm switching over to Peter's view. Now, if as Peter I'm looking at the application, I'll see approval and rejection buttons next to questions I did not answer. In this case, I'm agreeing with each of the answers that Aaron had previously given. And now I'm going to switch back to using the application as Aaron, and I'll see that I don't have those buttons anymore, but I can see that there's a thumb up on each of the questions. When I open more detail, I can see that Peter approved each answer. That's what I was looking for. I wanted someone else to put eyes on it. So I can go ahead and close the task and start working another one. This is a different style of task. It's an asset task. It asks for a document to be included. In this case, I have 2 documents that are the cardholder data diagram. I'm going to upload the second one. The first one had already been uploaded. I can attach a file or files, and then I make sure and check both boxes in this case to say that both are providing the cardholder data diagram. Once I finish the last question of a task, I hit the assess button, and at this point I can add reviewers. I'll add a couple of people to review, and when I add them again, I'll see them at the top, and when I click the more detail button, I'll see them here as well. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and complete the task without reviews. A modal will open that confirms I do want to go ahead and complete the task, even though I've added reviewers and they haven't given their reviews yet. But as long as I'm an administrator, I'll be able to do this if I need. When I go to the Explorer, I can choose PCI and see how this affected my compliance. Underneath the breakdown of controls, I can see the scope that was chosen for this environment. I could click Edit Scope, and if you open each section, you can change an individual control to descope it or to scope it in, or a section of controls. The breakdown at the top that shows passing, failing, incomplete areas is also a quick link. If you click any of those categories, the controls below will filter. In this case, I'm going to show the 5 failing controls. I can click any one of them and see why it's failing. In this case, there are 5 tests required for this control to pass. 4 of them are passing, but a 5th one is failing. I can click the Go to Task button to immediately change the answer to that task or assign it to another user. Now let's go to the Teams page. The Teams page overviews different groups of people in your organization and how they are mitigating risk. In this case, the engineering department has mitigated a whole lot more risk than the other teams. Pending work shows tasks assigned to each team or individuals in those teams, and exposed risk shows an overview of responsibilities for those teams. Places is the first of the asset views. It shows the list of all facilities used by your organization. You can add to any asset, in this case a place, by clicking the Add Asset button in the top right. And at this point, I can answer any of the optional questions that are displayed below that provide more detail about this individual facility. Other asset views are the IT assets. This is going to be a long list of all the IT assets in your organization. Some of these can be automatically discovered. To add an IT asset, you're going to choose which category it's in. There's a number of different categories of which kind of IT asset you want to add, and different questions that will appear for each one you choose. To view more detail about a given asset, you can click on the row, and it will open the drawer. This will show you the same questions. You could answer any of those optional questions from that view as well. The other two asset groups are evidence and governance. They're both files. Evidence are files requested by an assessor during an assessment, and governance are policies, standards, and procedures. You can download the attachments by clicking on the icon to download, and you can also add additional files. Each asset can point to more than one file. The final view we'll explore in this overview is the settings page. The first part of the settings page are the user settings. They'll be available to any user of your organization. You can change your password by clicking here and typing your original password in the new one. You can enable two-factor authentication, and you can add new organizations if you have sub-organizations that you need to create. The Organization tab is only going to be available to administrators. It will show an overview of your organization and give you the ability to invite new users. In this case, I'm going to invite a user and I can choose their role. There are 4 different roles currently in Complyify. In this case, I'm going to make them a normal user. This basically gives them full ability to use the application, except inviting other users and other administrative tasks. You can also remove a user from your organization. In this case, I'm going to remove Tom, but he'll show under former users. He might have already made observations in the application, but any tasks he was assigned to, he'll be removed from. Remember to log out anytime you're done using the application, and that is Complyify.